Let's talk about the ultimate 1-2 pre-flop leak. You know the exact feeling we're talking about here. It's Friday night, you just drove 45 minutes after a brutally long week, you finally walk onto that casino carpet, and you grab a seat at your local 1-2 live cash game. You're shuffling your chips, taking in the hum of the room, maybe sipping on a beer or a black coffee. You're there for action, right? Hoping to make some extra cash, outplay some guys, just blow off some steam. But instead, hour after hour, you just sit there watching your stacks slowly bleed away. 20 bucks here, 20 bucks there. It's incredibly frustrating. You feel like you're playing decent poker, but man, the math just isn't adding up when you cash out. Well, in this explainer, we are going to completely strip away the excuses. We are going to fix the single biggest leak that is actively draining your bankroll.
Look, I know exactly what you're probably thinking right now because I literally sit next to guys saying this at the tables every single night. You take a bad beat, you shake your head and you mumble, I just run bad. I never hit my hands. Deck's just ice cold tonight. It's the ultimate comfort blanket for recreational players. And hey, it feels really good to blame the poker gods, doesn't it? It completely takes the pressure off of you. Because if it's just bad luck, well, you don't have to change anything about your game, right? You just sit there, keep doing exactly what you're doing, and wait for your luck to magically turn around.
But here is some tough love you need to hear from someone who's been sitting exactly where you are right now. Take a deep breath, put the ego aside for just a second, and ask yourself, is it really bad luck or is it your pre-flop strategy? Because the cold, hard reality is this. Most of the money you lose in low-stakes poker, it isn't actually lost on the river when some guy hits a miraculous lucky one-outer. I mean, that's what you remember, sure, because it stings. But the truth? That money is actually lost before the dealer even spreads the flop. You are actively setting yourself up for failure before the hand has even truly begun.
So, what exactly is this ultimate leak quietly assassinating your win rate? It's remarkably simple, yet it's overwhelmingly common. You're entering way too many bad situations with weak hands. You're playing marginal cards out of position, you're inviting way too many opponents into the pot, and deep down, let's be honest, you're just hoping to get lucky. Listen, winning poker at the 1-2 level is not about playing more hands. It is definitely not about being the table captain every single orbit. It's about playing better hands in better situations. It's fundamentally a game of extreme discipline. It takes real discipline to sit there and fold when you are bored to tears. And right now, that lack of discipline in those quiet moments is costing you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
The most glaring symptom of this leak has a name, and it's limping. Limping is when you just call the big blind free flop, tossing in that little red $2 chip just to see a flop without putting in a raise. It feels incredibly cheap. It feels totally safe. I mean, after all, it's just $2, right? What is the actual harm? Well, it is undoubtedly the single most common move you will see at any 1-2 table, and make absolutely no mistake, it is completely destroying your win rate.
Let's look at the psychology behind why we all fall into this trap. We got to be honest about our expectations here. Poker is supposed to be fun. You drove 45 minutes out here, you fought for a parking spot, you waited on the list, and you finally got a seat. Folding junk hands for an hour straight is incredibly boring. You want to be in the mix, you want to play cards. But when you let that desire override your strategy, you crash right into a brutal reality. By playing weak hands just to see a flop cheaply, you set yourself up for what we call reverse domination. You end up trapped in these expensive, highly stressful, high-anxiety guessing games where you have absolutely no idea where you stand. And your confidence? It just gets completely shattered post-flop.
Let me paint a picture for you. Let's walk through a very realistic live poker scenario that I guarantee you have lived through. You've been sitting there for an hour, totally card dead. Finally, you look down at your cards and you see King-9 offsuit. Now, to a bored player, this hand starts to look awfully pretty. Hey, it's got a face card. You start that inner monologue justifying it to yourself. Well, it's a king, maybe I can catch 2 pair, or maybe the board will run out of straight. The table's been pretty passive anyway. You convince yourself it's a playable hand, so you grab that red chip, toss in your $2, and limp right in.
Let's walk through exactly how this specific nightmare unfolds in real time. Step 1. You make that pre-flop limp. Predictably, you and 4 other guys at the table all toss in your $2. It's a nice, friendly family pot. Step 2. The dealer burns and turns the flop. It comes king of diamonds, 10 of spades, 6 of clubs. Boom! You hit your king. You have top pair. A rush of adrenaline hits you. You feel pretty great about that $2 investment. But then comes step 3. Suddenly, the tight regular to your right, the guy in the faded baseball cap who literally hasn't bluffed since 2018, bets out big. Another solid player calls him. Now the action is on you. You're facing incredibly heavy pressure. And that good feeling? It completely evaporates right into a pit in your stomach.
When that heavy pressure comes, your mind starts to play tricks on you. You desperately want to win the hand, so you try to convince yourself that you're beating a wide range of stuff. You tell yourself, hey, they could just have random underpairs like pocket 8s or 9s. Or maybe they have some weird missed flush draw they're trying to push. Or maybe, just maybe, it's a pure bluff. But let's be totally real with each other for a second. At a standard 1-2 cash game, people are not bluffing into multiple players on a king-high board. You are dominated. Look at the reality of the situation here. You are staring down better kings, like ace-king, king-queen, or king-jack. They hit top pair just like you did, but their kicker has you completely crushed. Or worse, they're sitting on sets of 10s or 6s, or they hit two pair with king-10. You're trapped in a massive pot, where you dominate absolutely nobody, but you are dominated by a huge portion of the hands they are actually betting with. You are in a guessing game. And let me tell you, guessing in live poker is brutally expensive.
And here is the brutal numerical result of that guessing game. Minus $300. Think about how this cascades. You call the $15 flop bet because, well, you have top pair and you just can't let it go. The turn is a blank, and the guy in the baseball cap bets $45. You call again, stubbornly hoping he slows down. The river is another blank, and he jams all in for your remaining $238. You reluctantly make that desperate river call because you feel like you're already way too committed to fold. He flips over king-queen, and you just lost your entire stack. Your whole buy-in for the night. All because you couldn't resist limping in with king-9 offsuit preflop just to see what happens. What started as a $2 limp turned into a slow, painful bleed that ended in a massive financial hemorrhage.
So, we arrive at the pivotal moment. How do we fix this? How do we stop the bleeding immediately? Well, I have great news for you. The answer does not require complex math, it doesn't require downloading fancy game theory optimal solvers, and it definitely doesn't require memorizing 100 pages of complicated, colorful charts. It requires exactly one simple, unbreakable heuristic. Raise or fold. That's it. If your hand is not strong enough to confidently throw chips in the middle and raise the pot, it goes straight into the muck, period. You must stop limping today.
So what hands actually make the cut? What should you be raising with? We're going to keep this incredibly simple and effective for 1-2 games. First, premium hands. Your aces, kings, queens, jacks, and ace-king. You are raising these every single time without fail. Next, strong broadways. Ace-queen, king-queen, especially when they are suited. Then, pocket pairs. From 2s all the way up to 10s, you play these aggressively to flop a set and win a massive pot off someone who overplays top pair. And finally, suited connectors, like 9-8 suited, but heavily dependent on you being in late position. That is it. If your hand isn't on this premium list, if it's not a strong Broadway, a pocket pair, or a late position connector, you fold. You will absolutely play fewer hands, but when you do play, you will play them like an absolute weapon. Let's compare the two approaches side by side, because the contrast in how your night will go is just staggering. Think about limping. It is fundamentally weak. It invites 4 or 5 players into the pot, creating absolute chaos. When the flop comes, you have zero initiative, you have no control over the betting, and you're just reacting to what everyone else is doing. Now think about raising. Raising is a show of strength. It forces all those weak, marginal hands to fold pre-flop. It isolates you against just 1 or 2 players. You take total control of the hand. You define the size of the pot, and most importantly, you put the pressure on them. Taking control forces your opponents to do the guessing. Raising makes your life post-flop incredibly easy, while limping makes it an absolute nightmare.
Now, proper hand selection is your foundation, for sure. But position is your amplifier. This is a golden, unbreakable rule of live poker. Position turns average hands into profitable ones and weak hands into massive, stack-draining liabilities. Think about it. The later you act in a hand, the more information you have. You literally get to sit back and watch what everyone else does before you have to commit a single chip or make a decision. And at a poker table, information is quite literally money. It's like betting on a horse race when you already know who tripped out of the starting date. When you pair this positional blueprint with your new raise or fold strategy, everything just clicks into place. In early position, meaning you act first or second after the blinds, you must be incredibly tight. Play only the strongest, most premium hands because you have the entire table left to act behind you, and you have absolutely no idea what they hold. In middle position, you can open up slightly, maybe adding in a few more of those suited broadways. But late position, especially when you have the dealer button, oh man, that is where you print money in this game. You act last on every single street post flop. Because you have that absolute informational advantage, you can open wide, attack weakness, steal the blinds, and mercilessly punish all those passive players who just limped in hoping to get lucky.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, what is the core lesson you need to take with you the next time you walk onto that casino floor? It all boils down to this single, unshakable thought.
Winning consistently at a 1-2 cash game isn't about brilliance, it isn't about making some insane high-stakes TV bluff that gets millions of views online, it is purely about unyielding discipline. Remember, you aren't getting unlucky. You just need the discipline to fold the junk, permanently stop limping, heavily respect your position at the table, and ruthlessly value bet your strong hands. Strip away the excuses, apply this razor fold mentality, and watch how quickly the game turns in your favor. But once you fix this pre-flop leak and stop bleeding chips before the flop, you have to ask yourself a serious question. What post-flop mistakes are still hiding in the shadows of your game, waiting to steal that newly protected stack?